The word concentration camp first appeared in 1895 during the Cuban War of Independence. It became a popular word during the Anglo-Boer War of 1899-1902. The British set up camps with terrible conditions for Boer civilians, which led to mass deaths of Boers. King Adolf Frederick of Sweden went down in history because of his ridiculous death. On February 12, 1771, on the occasion of the Lenten fast, he ate lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, smoked herring, zucchini soup, 14 wheat buns with stuffing, warm milk, and champagne. The outcome of the overeating was fatal. The first Volkswagen Beetle was produced in 1933 in Germany. It was a demand of Adolf Hitler, who wanted the average German to have a car available for purchase. In German, the word Volkswagen means car for people. Among the first 15 Roman emperors, Claudius was the only one who had no love affairs with men. This was considered unusual behavior and was ridiculed by poets and writers who said, loving only women, Claudius himself became effeminate. In the winter of 1916-1917, on the eastern front of the First World War near Lithuania and Belarusia, hungry wolves greatly increased in numbers near towns and army camps and began to attack small groups of soldiers. Seeing this, the command of the Russian and German armies agreed to a temporary truce and sent forces to exterminate the wolves. In early Rome, there was a catastrophic lack of women. Romulus, 771-717 BC, kidnapped girls from the nearby Sabine tribe. The most beautiful of them were given to Roman senators. George Washington never lived in the White House, as it was just being built during his presidency. The wave of suicides. This was vigorously reported by all American newspapers after the stock market crash of October 28-29, 1929, which was the beginning of the Great Depression. In fact, there were only 2 cases of financial suicide. The unsinkable liner. That is what the newspapers called the Titanic. After its completion, the White Star Company, the ship's owner, launched a huge advertising campaign in the press to attract wealthy passengers. It was protected by a double bottom and 19 watertight compartments, making it virtually unsinkable. The ship's chief designer, Thomas Andrews, said that the Titanic would be able to stay afloat with 4 compartments filled with water. The richest passenger on the Titanic was a real lieutenant colonel. Lieutenant Colonel John Jacob Astor IV was an American millionaire, participant in the Spanish-American War, businessman and writer. He was the richest passenger aboard the Titanic. When the ship was going down, he put his wife in the lifeboat and wished her a happy voyage, but he stayed behind. Today it bears a portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States, by Gilbert Stuart. But on the first issue, issued in 1862, we see Salmon Chase, Secretary of the Treasury of the United States. Such cow shoes were worn by American moonshiners during Prohibition, so that the police could not identify them by their footprints. 1922. This photo shows 2 ordinary dogs, Vaterok on the left and Ugolyak on the right. They were in orbit for a total of 22 days, and thus set a record for the longest time a dog has been in space, which is still unbeaten to this day. Both of them lived to a ripe old age and gave birth to healthy offspring.